Today is episode 18 with Dr. B and the 7th Ask Dr. B show.
Welcome to the Harness Your ADHD Power podcast. If you're looking for a fresh perspective and actionable steps on hot topics from focus to follow through to self-management and more, you are in the right place. Welcome your host, innovative educator, coach, and psychotherapist, Dr. B.
Hey, dears. I am so glad that you could join me today for my podcast show. It's time to change things up a bit so that you don't get in a rut and stop paying attention in the moment because you anticipate what's coming next. Yep, there's definitely comfort in knowing what to expect, and it can also sabotage your attention and focus. So what questions did you wake up with this morning? What tasks are you dreading because you have questions about what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and even if you should do it? Kind of summing it up, the question that I'm wondering about this morning is, what is the number one biggest struggle or frustration that you have right now? I really, really want to know. I do. And I've created a fast and fun way for you to tell me. More on that later. If you're wondering what kind of questions you can ask me, here's some examples of what others have asked me over the years. How can we overcome resistance to change? How does overcommitment become a lack of commitment? And how is self-acceptance not the same as accepting mediocrity? You know, your questions matter to me. How are you going to do what you want to do if your mind is filled with questions and roadblocks instead of excitement and motivation? Where are you supposed to turn in times like that? Well, one place that you can turn is to me, which is one reason I created the Ask Dr. B format. It's not just that we're a curious bunch, even though we are. You may also be sitting with huge gaps in your knowledge base, and hence you can't move forward on what it is that you want to achieve. In fact, you may not even know what questions to ask to get the information that you need. Wouldn't it be wonderful if someone would say to you, do you know how to A, B, C, D, etc.? And you could tell them what you knew and didn't know, and because they know the sequence, they could answer your questions and guide you through the sequences of the tasks that you want to get done. I think that would be awesome. And if you're the kind of person who needs to have all the details up front before you step into the ring, and you have huge gaps in the process or the sequence of events, how exactly are you supposed to proceed? Seriously. This has nothing to do with IQ and everything to do with learning style. Even with ADHD, some of us are quite literal and need the step-by-step version of the story to engage. Others of us are more inferential and just jump in and kind of fly by the seat of our pants, and we fill in the details and information as we go along. Either way, you need to know what you need to know, and that's just how it is. I fluctuate. There's times when I can just jump in, and other times I need to know step by step before I can get going. And if I don't get the answers that I need, I keep spinning or ruminating, and I can become overwhelmed. And perhaps that's you too. So you're still going to be getting the great content that I'm committed to providing for you every Thursday with the Ask Dr. B format. I take your questions seriously. So if you have questions, here's how you get them over to me. Head over to my website, and under podcasts, you'll see the Ask Dr. B button on the right side of that page. Just click the button and ask away. I'll be notified immediately and get to work on them for the next Thursday show. And listen, there are never too many questions, for me that is. And in the event that your question is outside the scope of my license or practice or my knowledge base, I'll find a guest who can address your question and have them do so on one of the regular Monday shows. Either way, you'll get answers to the best of my ability to provide them. If you're a new listener, welcome. I'm honored that you're here. If you're a subscriber or a regular listener, thanks for your loyalty and for trusting me to share meaningful content with you in each and every episode. And whether this is your first or 18th time of listening to my show, you'll hear me say time and time again that you are not what you do or don't do, that you are more than that we are not defective or less than as people, as human beings. We're just wired differently. And the difference is actually pretty cool once you have answers to your questions and know what you need to do and how to do it, and you have the best tools for you to get it done with the least amount of stress. And it's my hope that you'll get some of what you need here. And remember, I'm a work in progress just like you. I've learned a lot about myself over the years because I've been willing to be a student of my own life, to step into the situations that present themselves and learn how to navigate what I find. This has meant learning how to quiet my challenges, and there's been plenty of those, and make the most of my gifts, more than I ever knew was possible for me. Once I got the information I needed, and I trust you will too once you get what you need. I was recently asked about you, my listeners, and where you are all located in the world. I love that question. In fact, I just got a world map and put it up in my space so I could put little colored flags in all the countries and the states where you all are listening. It's very exciting to know that we are not alone at all. I'm not much of a world traveler. However, it's really exciting to know that my voice is traveling to you, no matter where you are on this planet of ours, that no matter where you're located, you're listening and relating to the challenges and the stories and the solutions. So as of this episode, you all are listening from Malaysia, Brazil, Hungary, the Philippines, South Africa, Denmark, Kenya, Australia, Germany, United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Ireland, Canada, and miscellaneous regions that aren't noted, and of course, the USA. And within the United States, listeners are in Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, District of Columbia, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Illinois, Kansas, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Texas, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. Thank you all for listening and hopefully benefiting from this podcast show. And knowing that you are there listening makes me want to give even more of myself to your needs via this podcast and in other ways. You are a blessing to me, and your presence in my life is beyond anything I'd ever imagined. Before I get to the questions and answers, I have a question for you. And you've heard it before if you're a regular listener. It's about your state of mind and your wins. I can't emphasize this enough. I just can't. And I'm going to continue to ask you about your wins and encourage you to acknowledge and celebrate them every day. You are the meaning maker of your life. You decide whether or not to give away the power of meanings to other people and things that are outside of your control, or keep your own personal meaning maker power, the power to choose what something is going to mean to you and for you, because the choice is truly yours. So back to wins. I talk a lot about wins. Why? Because cultivating and having a wins mindset can transform how you experience your life. It can. So have you been taking the time to actually look for your wins? Really look for them. Acknowledge them. Celebrate them. Share them with others who appreciate what a big deal they are for you and celebrate with you. Are you doing this every day, every single day? I sure hope so, because there's truly magic in all of this. And what do I mean by wins? Well, They are those little things that happen every day that are good things, positive things in the bigger picture of your life, and yet they go unnoticed, unacknowledged, and uncelebrated by you. It takes shifting your mindset, and it is totally worth it. Please don't be the person that continues to tell yourself that it's pointless to reward yourself for the things that you're supposed to do. Supposed to do needs a reward, because it couldn't be further from the truth. Those supposed to do things are the very things that deserve to be celebrated, so they become easier for you to do them consistently and more enjoyably each and every time that you do. So what's it going to be today? If you left on time, it's a win. If you cleaned up your bedroom, that's a win. If you did your laundry before you ran out of clean clothes, that's a win. If you got your car's air conditioner serviced before the hottest weather hit, that's a win. If you notice that you are a kind and giving person, that's a win. You get the point. Celebrate all of them. And none of this half-hearted celebrating. You need to mean it. Exaggerate your emotions. Yes, wow, awesome. And certainly celebrate the big wins too. It's just that they happen less often, and so celebrating daily wins makes a difference faster in your life because of the frequency. Shifting gears now. Today's episode is all about answering the questions that you have about issues or challenges that you experience as an adult living with ADHD, and offering you hope. How much time do we have? Not much. So let's get to it. Thanks to you, my listeners, for today's questions on these 3 topics: getting yourself to exercise, the importance of routines, and routines and habits.
This podcast is sponsored by Pure Potential with Dr. B. You can head over to drbarbaracohen.com and find the podcast show notes, great free content from Dr. B, plus programs and services. That's drbarbaracohen.com.
Now back to being an adult with ADHD in today's world. There's a lot of different reasons why you have the questions that you do. It's possible that you have lots of misinformation, or you're missing steps or strategies or a philosophy or an understanding of yourself well enough to make good decisions on your behalf. Everybody's reasons are different, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here to answer what I can for you. I'm going to be sharing each question with you, share a little about the topic, offer my point of view of what I hear within the question where appropriate, and my response to each question, which includes an action step to take. Yep, there's an action step for each question, because just hearing an answer isn't enough. You need to take action or nothing changes. So don't let yourself off the hook. You do have the ability to respond to your needs. And I hope at least one of these topics or questions is going to resonate with you and be of benefit. So let's keep going. Thank you to Tammy in California for the first topic of getting yourself to exercise. She shared and asks, I know I should exercise, but it's boring. How can I get myself to do it? Thanks for your question, Tammy. I'm going to go with the mindset approach here, which is that exercising is boring because of the physical activities that you've chosen and the meaning that you're giving to those that you've chosen. It's possible that you view exercising as something completely separate from your usual daily life rather than a part of it. As an example, it would be, if you do any walking in your daily life, consider how you could increase the walking. Could you take the stairs or park further away? Or, other than viewing exercise as boring, do you also dislike exerting yourself physically? I ask because I've worked with many adults who don't like to sweat or exert themselves physically. They haven't wanted to do things that took much physical effort. Exercise, by definition, can mean many different things. An activity that's requiring physical effort, that's carried out especially to sustain or improve health and fitness, or doing something as a means of practice or training, such as exercising one's mind or stretching one's mind. All these are exercise. So if you're asking me how you can get yourself to do something that you deem as boring, it would be to give it a non-boring meaning. When it's no longer boring to you, you're most likely going to do it. And if you give it an exciting meaning, then it might even be easier to get yourself to do it. And I don't mean changing the meaning of what exercise itself is literally, but rather what you've decided that the meaning of exercise is to you. Also, what do you focus on when you think of exercising or are exercising? Are you focused on the repetition of an act, such as weight training, and find the repetition boring? Are you focused on how hot and sweaty you feel and dislike that feeling? Are you focused on the time passing so slowly and you just wish that you could be finished already? How else could you learn to view exercise so that it was exciting and something that you looked forward to rather than something you dread or find boring? If we were sitting together, I might ask you what you wish that you felt about exercising instead of what you currently feel. And if I asked, what would you say? Whatever you said, that would be the meaning to shift to, because that's what you want to feel. I hope my input is giving you some things to consider about how you can get yourself to exercise. Transitioning to our next question. Thank you to Brenda in California for the second topic of the importance of routines. She asks, what is the importance of routines and how can I establish them? Thanks for your questions, Brenda. I want to talk about the importance of routines in the context of decision-making fatigue. This is a real condition that many people suffer from. By forcing yourself to make the same kind of decisions day after day, you truly exhaust yourself and use up the available energy that you have on making decisions instead of living your life with the decisions and commitments that you've made once a month, for example. Having routines that you stick to, rather than allowing yourself to choose again, eliminates the additional stress that comes from having made too many decisions in a week or a month or even a day. This may not have been a problem years ago, but in today's world, we're faced with more and more decisions to make, and having routines and guidelines for how you're going to live your life as things go along goes a long way to eliminating this extra stress. I'll give you some examples of ways to avoid decision-making fatigue. However, there's one key factor or pre-skill here, which is that you have to stop choosing again and or breaking your word to yourself. And assuming that you can do that, here's the examples. Plan daily decisions such as when to wake up, what to wear, whether to go to the gym or not in the morning, what to eat, who's going to drive the kids to school, things like that, the night before. Do the most important things first when you have energy and you're fresh. Use your prime time to your advantage. Having a morning routine eliminates the need to make decisions day by day. Rather, decide for the week or the month and commit and stick with it. And make commitments, not decisions. Making commitments to a way of living or being or doing eliminates a lot of decision making. You think and decide once and act on it for a week or a month, and you review and assess regularly to see if you need to adjust or course correct. Rather than hoping that you'll do things, decide, commit, follow through, and don't choose again. Understand the importance of eating breakfast, a real breakfast. It's fuel for your brain so that it can do its best for you, and it needs fuel to think and make good decisions. Simplify or choose to live a minimalist lifestyle. Why? Because whatever you have owns a piece of you and your time because it requires maintenance. Your furniture, clothes, relationships. Eliminate whatever isn't really important. How do you know what's really important? Look at your values. You need to know your values and what you value before you can make decisions about keeping or letting go. Your life today is the sum of your daily habits, and what you do regularly shapes you into who it is that you're becoming. And at any point along the journey, you can change what it is that you're doing and do something different and shift the direction of your journey onto a different path. You also asked about how to establish routines. I'll share with you how I did it. I sat down and wrote out what I typically did in the morning, such as making my bed, picking up things in my bedroom that needed to be put away, getting dressed for my walk and my workout at the gym, breakfast, shower, things like that. I wrote out what I typically did at night, such as curfew of things and returning them to their homes, turning off electronics at least an hour before I retire for the night to go to sleep, making sure that my bedroom space is cool enough so that I sleep comfortably, making sure that the kitchen is clear for the morning because I like it to be that way when I show up the next day. I wrote down those things that I wanted to do but wasn't doing with any kind of consistency, like playing the piano or pruning my rose bushes. This became the basis, all of this information became the basis for my creating my routines, since to me, routines are a series or a sequence of behaviors that are repeated with regularity. After I created my original routines, I took them for a test drive for a week to see if they worked well for me. And once I was satisfied that they did, with a little tweaking here and there, I settled into those routines. I see those routines as my shortcut throughout the day. By having existing routines for the morning and the evening and my workday and such, I don't have to decide things over and over again. However, I do have to have the ability to keep my word to myself and follow through on what I set up as my routines, rather than saying, I don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like doing what I said I was going to do, and then choosing again. That isn't part of this deal. I hope that this has been helpful and it gives you some ideas about how you can begin to think about routines in your own life and how to create them. Transitioning to our next question. Thank you to Valerie in California for the third topic of habits and routines. She asks, what's the difference between a routine and a habit? Thanks for your question, Valerie. Routines and habits are very similar in that they both refer to regular and repeated actions in our lives. One difference is that habits are often unconscious actions where routines are not. A habit is an action that we take in a regular and a repeated way, and by doing it over and over again, it becomes a habit. It goes into that unconscious or non-conscious part of our mind. A routine is a series or a set of habits that's done in a particular order. So if I go back to my answers to the last question about the importance of routines and how they can be created, by stringing together a series of habits, which means a series of unconscious, entrenched actions or behaviors, we create routines. Routines aren't hard to establish, but might be hard to keep because they require you to keep your word to yourself and not choose again to do things differently each and every time. You decide on a sequence that you're happy with and just do things that way. You can always review your routines weekly or monthly to make sure that they're serving you and the needs of your life, because they're supposed to make your life easier and save you energy. Habits are more challenging due to their unconscious element. You're already doing them before you know consciously that you are. So to change a habit, you need to make them conscious and to work on them at a conscious level so that then when they become unconscious, they're what you want them to be. I hope this input has been helpful to you in terms of clarifying the differences or similarities of habits and routines. That's it for our 3 questions today. I want to thank Tammy and Brenda and Valerie again for their questions for the Ask Dr. B format. And remember, Your questions matter to me. If I'm going to help make a difference in your lives, I need to know what your challenges are, what you're struggling with. And if you remember at the beginning of today's episode, I said that I'd created a fast and fun way for you to tell me what the number one biggest struggle or frustration is that you have right now. Well, I created a quick little survey for you. It's 6 questions, and you can be as brief or lengthy as you want to in your answers. It's entirely up to you. The link to the survey is in the show notes on my website, as well as in the post for today's podcast episode, which is also on my website. I hope that you'll stop by my site and choose to take a few minutes to respond to the survey. Thanks in advance for your participation and for helping me to help you. A favorite quote for today. John Wooden said, "It's the little details that are vital. Little things make big things happen." The question I have for you at this point of our journey together is, have you been paying attention to the little details or skipping over them because you get overwhelmed with so many little details to attend to? I appreciate you showing up to listen today and in the future. New episodes are released twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. As a subscriber, the newest episode will be in your feed by 1 a.m. Pacific time. Plus, you won't miss out on any of the extra episodes that I create with special guests. Certainly a great reason to subscribe. Perhaps make a date with yourself to listen to each podcast episode so you hear your questions answered if you asked any of me, or just enjoy all the episodes where I'll be talking about such compelling topics as making friends, analysis paralysis, and more in-depth separate episodes as a spin-off from episode 13's multi-level topic. So, if you received value today or from any other episode, please share this podcast show with your friends and family, as well as rate the show and write a thoughtful review on iTunes so that I know that I'm meeting your needs. It means a lot to me to know that your life is getting a little bit better every time that we get together. In fact, you can sign up on my website to receive periodic email updates on new happenings with Dr. B, or just download your show notes and learn about other services. That is, if that's of interest to you. Thanks for listening. Until the next time, bye for now.
Thanks for your undivided attention. If you're hungry to make positive changes in your life, head over to drbarbaracohen.com and see how Dr. B can help you today. Whether you love making changes with one-to-one attention and community support, or on your own with self-study, or could benefit from coaching or psychotherapy, you'll find all the information right there at drbarbaracohen.com.